Beautiful song, perfect song for bringing our theme for this month to a conclusion. The idea that we stand in front of this unwritten page, and it is to be written with our hopes and our dreams and our desires that are planted there by the divine. And there is nobody who can write for it but us. There is no one who can feel the sunshine on our face but us. There is no one who can bring our dreams into fruition but us. I want to begin this morning with a passage I shared from our Science of Mind textbook that I started the very first Sunday with. The first Sunday of this month, I shared from Dr. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind. He wrote, "Let us feel that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high, and let us go forth and make our dream come true in human experience." Let us feel, I love that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high. In other words, let's know that the dreams in our hearts are planted there by God, by the God of our being, by the infinite God that is one and the same God, that wants to express itself in this life form as you in that way. So let's know that that's true, and then let's get about the business of bringing them out into the world. It is our duty. It is our responsibility. It is our joy and great thrilling experience. Holmes said in that passage I shared earlier, it is a thrilling experience to bring those into our human experience. And sometimes there can be a bit of a gap between the desire, the seed that's planted in our hearts and our minds, and the actual manifested end result, right? There can be a gap. And this month we have explored bridging that gap or living successfully midair. And I've used a wonderful book that our own Reverend Sandy Daly, who's one of our board members and a How team member, like Jill of all trades here at the church, right there, author, coach, Reverend Sandy wrote that book, Successfully Midair, and we've used the book this month to pull out tools and ideas to help us get from point A, where we are right now, to point B, who we are meant to be. And of course, as soon as we get to point B, that becomes point A again, and then there's another loop around that spiral of evolution, because that is how it works. So there's always, almost always, if we are consciously expanding, there will always be that bridge experience. And how we navigate it makes all the difference in the world. And this month, we have navigated it. Today, we are going to talk about successfully securing the bridge. And because it's Palm Sunday, we're going to bring into the mix an idea, a concept, a practice from the Master Teacher Jesus, and to really anchor and secure that bridge. But before we do that, I want us to back up a little bit, and I want to really review the month. And I'm going to do it briefly. I'm actually going to talk a little less than I normally do. And we'll actually see how that goes. I mean, that is the intention anyway, because we have this beautiful rose ceremony to do today, which is a tradition for us here on Palm Sunday. But I want to back up and review the month, because even if you've been here every Sunday and you've heard everything I've said, tell me if you have this experience. I know I do sometimes. I will go to something, I will hear a speaker, I'll read something, I'll have an experience that's amazing. It's gorgeous. It moves me deeply. And I think to myself, oh, I'm remembering that. And I'm going to live that from now on. From this moment forward, I am going to live from that idea. And so I go forth that next day, and I'm living from that idea. And then the next day, I'm kind of living from that idea. And then by the third day, I'm like, what was that idea? What is it that I heard that was so great? It must not have been that great. I don't know. I'll just go back to doing it the way I do it. Anybody else have that little experience? Yes, there it is. So repetition is a really good and healthy thing for us. It really helps us. So I'm going to repeat here all of the things we've done, but in a very brief way. The very first Sunday of this month, we looked at the need to step out of our comfort zone in order to manifest this dream. If we stay in our comfort zone, if we stay in our little box where we're all happy and comfortable, we're going to stay right where we are. If we're going to stretch and grow, we're going to have to spread our wings a little bit and fly, and that is through a leap of faith. So if you're going to try to step on that bridge, to bridge the gap, you just have to start it with a leap of faith. You don't know what's going to happen. You're not sure, but it takes a leap of faith. And I love the definition or a saying about faith that I shared with you the first Sunday, and that is faith is knowing that when you step off the edge, one of two things will happen. Either the earth will rise up to meet you, or you will spread your wings and fly. That's faith. The earth will rise up, or you will spread your wings, one or the other. And I love it when you guys indicate to me that you get it. I love that. And that happened recently, and I've gotten permission to share this. One of our wonderful new members, Sam Murphy, who's hanging out right there, wrote a little story about her faith experience, flying experience. And so it's using the butterfly as a metaphor. And this is exactly what we're talking about in this idea of a leap of faith. So I want to share it with you. Becoming a butterfly seemed somewhat difficult, from my perspective, that is. For you see, I was a caterpillar. And life as a caterpillar was not as much fun as being a butterfly. For one thing, I had a lot of fear. So see if you find yourself in here, by the way. I didn't move very fast, and one day I saw a human step on another caterpillar. And if that wasn't enough, these dogs, cats, rodents, and birds would try to eat me. Imagine the fear you would live in if you thought you could be eaten. So I slugged along in life. I would crawl along. I did like to munch on leaves and trees and grass. Then one day I saw a butterfly, and I wanted to be that butterfly. They were so beautiful, a kaleidoscope of colors. I, on the other hand, was, well, green. Every day I dreamed of becoming a butterfly, and then one day I climbed up in a tree, on a tree branch, and fell asleep. Well, not all the way asleep. You see, I could still feel. At first, I was surrounded by a lot of goo, and I felt afraid. But at least it wasn't as bad as being eaten. I felt changes taking place. I didn't know what was going on, and it was scary. You see yourself here in this picture anywhere? And then one day, a hard shell formed over me, and I felt safe and protected. And then one day, I came out of this shell thing, and I felt very different. I saw a butterfly who told me that I was a butterfly. At first, I didn't believe him. He told me I was beautiful with blue wings and black dots. And then he flew away. I wanted to follow him, but what would happen if I flap my wings and they don't work? I would fall to the ground and perhaps I would die. Or, on the other hand, I would flap my wings and soar. And so, I did. Let's give her a hand. So we explored that first Sunday, what it means to take a leap of faith. And I invited you into a leap of faith experiment, a challenge to trust God as your sole source of substance and supply. And I made a 90-day tithing challenge, and many of you took that gauntlet and are running with it right now, and I applaud you. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to walk the journey with you as we go through these 90 days. Congratulations to those of you who decided to take that leap of faith. Then over the next 3 weeks, or now the last 3 weeks, we've looked at various tools that Reverend Sandy mentions in her book, explores in her book. And I'm very happy to say, and I thank you for supporting Reverend Sandy's dream, that we've sold out of the books twice, I think. We've sold out twice. So thank you for buying her book and absolutely supporting her dream. That's really beautiful and wonderful. Because her tools in it are great. And we didn't get to all of them this month because we couldn't cover them all. But we covered the idea of the open moment. And the open moment is that place where you just allow your brain to open up to the possibility that your dream actually could manifest. It actually could come into fruition. It actually could happen. Even though at that moment you don't really see how, you don't see the way, you don't see the bridge in front of you. It's not fully there, but you have an open moment that simply says, okay, I've taken the leap of faith, and you know what? I am willing to believe that it's possible. I'm willing to believe that it's possible that I could actually experience this, accomplish this, become this. And I want to give as an example here and an acknowledgement of 20 years ago next month. 20 years ago on April 23rd, a group of people had listened to an open moment, the moment that said, I think church could be done differently. I think we could create an amazing vehicle for people over the years to have their lives transformed and empowered and to have love live more fully in their lives. 20 years ago, next month, a group of 17 people came together and formed this church. A number of those people were in first service, and I had them stand. And I know John, or did he scoot? Because he was here in first service. Did you leave, John? And Mary Jane, you're gone. Leonard, you're gone. But I see one who's out there, and that's Dr. Peggy Conger. Dr. Peggy, would you just raise your hand, Peggy, or stand so we can love on you for just a minute? Dr. Peggy Conger. One of those 17. Did I miss anybody else, I think? Nah. One of those. There's John right there. John was in the film school. John, we just applauded for you. You weren't here to get it. He's in the back there. 17 years ago, this group of people had an open moment that said, I think it might be possible. So if you are wondering if you can have an open moment about your dreams and think, I'd like an example, I'd like evidence that an open moment can actually make a difference, here it is. Right here. This is an example. And in a month, we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary. I hope you're all there at the great party we're going to have. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. The next thing we looked at was listening to the intuition, the inner voice that will never steer us wrong when we are in this flow. Our inner voice, we have given a new name to it. Reverend Sandy offers in her book, it'll be the name I use from now on. I love this idea. And we're not going to call it intuition anymore. We're not going to call it the inner voice anymore. We are going to call it what? The voice that loves me. The voice that loves me. Isn't that gorgeous? Thank you, Sandy. That's just gorgeous. The voice that loves me supports my dreams. Why don't we say that out loud? The voice that loves me supports my dreams. It does. And it will not steer you wrong. The next tool that we looked at to help us reveal that bridge as we're walking. So we're walking across this bridge that isn't even fully revealed. And with each step and each tool we apply, we reveal a little bit more of the bridge. And another tool that we've looked at this month is the idea that when a problem, an obstacle pops its head up, which it just might, that thing that we're looking at is actually not the problem. The problem is never the problem. That's a tool to recognize the problem is never the problem. What if there is a problem? What is it? My thinking about, and Sandy better answer that because she wrote it. But I'd love it to hear from the rest of you that you know it too. Right. The problem is never the problem. It's my thinking about the problem that is the problem, if there is one at all. It's my thinking about it. And we went through the beautiful example of David and Goliath and how we took a new look at that and how the problem wasn't the problem at all. And really, David and Goliath, that story could be renamed and not called necessarily David and Goliath, but called David and the Princess. Right? That's really what that story is about. It's David and the princess. And if you do not know what I'm talking about, you just jump online and listen to the week before last talk, and you will hear what that's all about. And then last week, and we had Reverend Sandy share with us a bit last week, and thank you, Sandy, for sharing in such a beautiful way last week. We looked at the idea of when those problems come, not only is the problem not the problem, it is actually often there to hone us, to refine us, to help us be the person who can be the person to manifest that dream. Because the person who's sitting here isn't the one who can actually have that experience. We must change. We must be refined. We must be expanded. We must be deepened. We must be clearer about who and whose we are. And so to help us do that in the face of something that may be appearing to be a challenge or a test, remember, we used that word in a very specific way last week. We asked this question, and this is a question we can ask ourselves. How much do I want what I say I want? How much do I want what I say I want? And if I really want it, I will keep walking. I will not run back to the safety of the ledge. I will keep walking. And maybe you don't really want it that much. That's okay too. Come on back. Something else will nudge you. You'll get shoved out there again. But that is all right. But it's a great question to ask. Because we may just say, you know what? No, it's not worth it. That is absolutely okay. But probably what will be said is, I do want this. This is on my heart. It is mine to experience. I am going to keep on walking. And it is then, after we keep on, that the manifestation occurs. Oftentimes, we get to that point right before it's ready to pop, right before it's ready to manifest, right in that moment before it's ready to burst into experience. We have something that makes us question. But if we keep going, we will completely get across that bridge. Today, our final ingredient is to secure the bridge. How do we secure the bridge? We're going to do that by adding an ingredient that comes from our master teacher Jesus, and really is exemplified in that Easter story and in the Palm Sunday story. Ernest Holmes said this of Jesus. He said, Jesus discerned spiritual truth. Why or how we do not know, nor does it make any difference. The world has not produced another like him, and until it does, he must receive a unique place in the history of human character. So what spiritual truth did he discern that helps us secure the bridge? Here he was. He knew his purpose. He knew how that purpose was going to unfold. And despite having some fear, as a matter of fact, a great deal of fear, because you may recall, if you know the Easter story, that Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he prayed, and his prayer was, Lord, let this cup pass from me. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid. So he was afraid, but he also had a great deal of faith, because he then said, if this cup cannot pass from me, and if I must drink it, then let it not be my will, but thy will. Knowing that thy will, meaning the will of the divine, is always for our expansion and our highest good. It is always for our growth. It is always for our best, no matter what it looks like. It always is. And so Jesus knew that. He trusted that. And so he took that leap and rode into Jerusalem on that day, because he knew he was here for a very special purpose. And that very special purpose was to be a bridge. Jesus came here to be a bridge between heaven and earth. He came here to be a bridge between limitation and expansion. He came here to be a bridge between condition and possibility. He came here to be a bridge between the finite and the infinite. He came here to be a bridge between the human heart and the love of God. And he did it through his love. Through his love of humanity. It's what he came here to do, and how he came here to do what he came here to do. His love of humanity. Our love is what will secure our bridge. Our love for ourselves. Not in an egotistical way, but in a divine way. In a recognition of who we are, what we came here to be, what we came here to do. A love of that. A secure knowing of who we are and how amazing we are. So I want to just do a quick little experiment just to touch in to see how you really feel about that. Because I preach that one all the time. So here's a little test to see how we feel about that. I want you to turn to a person next to you. Doesn't matter if you know him or not. And you're just going to tap him. You're just going to tap him on the arm gently. And say gently, just gently. And you're going to repeat after me. So go ahead, turn to somebody, tap on their arm, and then say, you are so blessed, say that, to be sitting next to me. Right? Because I am hot stuff. Right? We could say that. Right? I like that. And I love acronyms, and I just got an acronym for HOT. Holy One Together. How is that? That is hot stuff, right? So that was fun. I felt the fun that happened in here. And I also want you to just touch in, and how did you really feel about that? Is that laughter, oh, that was cool, I loved it, or that, oh, I'm a little nervous saying that. Oh, wait a minute. Well, it was good. It was a fun surprise. Yeah. Because we really are so blessed to be in each other's company and in our own company. But that's not enough. That's not enough to secure the bridge, to know how blessed we are to be who we are, and to love ourselves in that holy way. We must take that out into the world and into humanity, because there is no such thing as private good. And if we try to hold our good just to us, it gets diminished. And in fact, that bridge will not be secure. If we want it to be secure, we must go out and share our love, our gifts, our talents with the world. We must help bridge the gap for others. And there's a beautiful poem that one of our newer members, Barbara Joy, who was in first service, shared with me early this month and said, maybe this poem will fit someday this month. And oh, it fits so perfectly here today. It's called The Bridge Builder. It goes like this. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fear for him, but he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you are wasting strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you this bridge at the evening tide? The builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, the path I come, he said, there followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been naught to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him. We secure our bridge when we love ourselves, and then when we love humanity enough to be willing not only to build our own bridge, but for others, to be a bridge perhaps for them, to help them secure their bridge as well, just like the Master Teacher Jesus did. So in a few moments, we're going to have our rose blessing ceremony. And in it, I want you to contemplate securing your bridge in love. The love of God in you, as you, through you. The love of God that Jesus came to deliver, so that you, like him, can move to the next stage of your evolution. So before we do our closing prayer, I'm going to ask, after that prayer, that our people in here who have children in our youth ministry, that after the prayer, you scooch, that's a very technical word, you scooch out and get your children and bring them back into the foyer, and in as quiet a way as possible, which of course I realize is impossible with little ones, but we'll do our best. Just wait in the foyer, and we will have you come up first and have you and your children blessed, and then we'll do the entire congregation. But for right now, let's take a deep breath and close our eyes. And know that in spirit, infinite possibilities live. And in spirit, love is all there is. So infinite possibilities infused with love. That divine idea of God that said, I am going to create myself in the form of these human beings on April 30th, 2015, that they know on that day their own infinite possibilities and their own love. And I'm going to send this amazing man to earth to show the way. Today we accept that Master Teacher Jesus as his words and life exemplified love. And we too exemplify love and bring that love to all we do, to ourselves, to our dreams, and to the world and the world's dreams. So I, right here and now, am feeling called to include our entire world in this infinite possibility filled with and surrounded by and infused with love. and know that the dream of humanity on the heart of us all is freedom. On the heart of us all is expansion. On the heart of us all is unity. No matter what it looks like in our world, that is at the heart of all humanity. And so we simply bless all of humanity right here and right now. And we are the builders of the bridge for a global transformation into love, into dreams, into sharing, into building life here on earth that is in fact heaven. For this I am grateful. I call this good, oh so very, very good. And I know that it is done as I have spoken my word. I simply release now and let go of any detail as to how, when, or where, or why this happens. I just know that it does. Because the law has said yes, and that is what's the law's job. So I release, let go, trust, and know that it is done. So together, let us say, and so it is. Amen.